Welcome to another episode of Souliloqy Radio. I'm your host, as always, Otis Ayala, and may the 4th be with you. This is a very special Star Wars episode in which we'll be looking at Yodaisms. So sit back and open your mind. All right, everybody, let's get right into it. So like I said, in honor of it having just been May the 4th, we're going to get a little geeky with a special Star Wars episode because I'm an avid fan of Star Wars. I know there's lots of you out there who are avid fans, so we're going to have a little fun with this. This is one of my favorite movies, and among this movie is one of my favorite characters, and this character is not only the wisest character in the Star Wars universe, but in probably all of Hollywood, right? And this is the one and only Yoda. I don't think I need to explain to anyone out there who Yoda is, right? I really hope I don't, because I've always kind of said that you can't trust anyone who's never seen a Star Wars movie. I add on to that, you can't trust anyone who's never seen a Star Wars and a Marvel movie, but we're going to get past that. But just in case anybody is not up on their Star Wars, let's go through a quick bio of Yoda. Grandmaster Yoda is a legendary Jedi, right? And he's among the oldest and strongest of the Jedi Order. His connection to the Force is beyond comprehension of most Jedis. The Force. The Force is a mysterious energy field that flows through all life and that binds the galaxy together. Harnessing the power of the Force gives the Jedi and others sensitive to this spiritual energy extraordinary abilities like levitating objects or tricking minds and seeing things before they happen. Grandmaster Yoda, he lives for 900 years, and in that time, he masters several parts of the Force, and his understanding of the Force and how it works goes beyond all others. And the words he speaks through the movie franchise and the graphic novels are that of a guru. That's his role in the whole franchise. And these words, we now kind of call them Yodaisms. These Yodaisms have been used as motivation, solace, and have been repeated many times over and over. I've always said that the universal truths can be found anywhere. We just have to be open to receive them, even if it comes from a fictional little green creature from a galaxy far, far away. Much like many other kids of not only my generation, of other generations before and after me, Yoda was my first introduction to Buddhist-like concepts, even if at the time I didn't know where they originated. I did feel these ideas resonate with me, though, and likewise for millions of others, which is why Grandmaster Yoda is so revered. His character, along with the ideals that stand behind the Jedi Order, is largely responsible for the success of the whole franchise, in my opinion. But where did this concept of Yoda and his wisdom come from? Because somebody wrote it. And George Lucas, what did he use for the inspiration of this character? Because Yoda's wisdom is reminiscent of a Buddhist bodhisattva. And if you don't know what a bodhisattva is, that's someone who delays going to nirvana in order to help those around him, which what Yoda did. Yoda went well beyond his years and did not go into his next stage in order to train the last Jedi, which was Luke Skywalker. But we hear, if you go online, you'll hear all types of stories about George Lucas's inspiration for Yoda and where he got it from his travels to India to meeting all different types of people. And there really is no one story that kind of nails down where he got this inspiration from. But regardless of the inspiration, the wisdom is there. So let's get right into it. We're going to look at some of my favorite Yodaisms. And from the first movie, Empire Strikes Back, where we meet Yoda, we learn of his wisdom. And this next part is from a scene where Luke is trying to raise his X-Wing ship from the swamp. So take a listen.
Master, moving stones around is one thing. This is totally different.
No different. Only different in your mind. You must unlearn what you have learned.
All right, I'll give it a try.
No. Why not? Do. Or do not. There is no try.
Now, there's a lot of knowledge in these first few seconds of spoken word. First, Yoda's concept that everything is an illusion, and there's no difference between the rock and the X-Wing fighter. It is all matter. It's all the same. And the only difference is within our mind. That when we overthink something, we can create a problem when there is none. We make things difficult not because they are, but because we trick ourselves into believing it is so. And then he goes on to say, you must unlearn what you have learned. Because we must unlearn everything that tricks our minds into believing something is difficult. This unlearning is a core belief behind spiritual awakening and enlightenment. That in order to advance, we must empty our cups of all previous knowledge in order to make space to fill them again. We cannot move forward if we maintain a preconceived ignorance in our minds. These past concepts, these are all obstacles to our evolution. And then on to the famous part, try not, do or do not, right? There is no try. It's letting us know that our mindset rules our reality. That we either set out to do it or we just don't. The concept of try indicates a mindset of failure, a preconception that we create that sets up failure. When we say we will try and then we fail, at least we have a safety that we fall back and say, well, at least we tried. But if we say we will do and then we fail, for some reason there's an embarrassment associated with that we didn't achieve what we set out to do. When in reality, we only fail when we quit. When we don't succeed, we can learn from that experience and use it to try again and become successful. With try, you have already predetermined the outcome. That you tried but did not succeed. So in reality, there is no try, because try is an admission of failure before even beginning. There is only do and do not. So, like I said, there's profound truths in this. Now let's get back to another one of Yoda's sayings here. So hold on for this snippet here.
Fear is the path to the dark side. Fear leads to anger. Anger leads to hate. Hate leads to suffering.
All right, that last part was taken from the Phantom Menace when they meet Anakin Skywalker, who's eventually going to become Darth Vader. And in that is a part where Yoda says, fear is the path to the dark side. Fear leads to anger. Anger leads to hate. Hate leads to suffering. This is a blueprint for life and is almost ripped directly out of the pages of the Pali Canon. This is a concept of Buddhism in which life is filled with disappointments and suffering. And there's a lot of it that there's some that we can't avoid because that's just life. It happens. But the majority of it is rooted this suffering is rooted in our mental concepts and perceptions. We create our own suffering. And the origin of that suffering is due to our reactivity to situations we either don't want to accept, we don't understand, we fear. And fear is a huge part of it. Fear of loss is a huge part of it. Whether it be fear of losing a job, fear of losing a loved one, a relationship, material things, money, whatever it is, it's a path directly to suffering. Acceptance of situations as they are, acceptance of life as it is, and understanding that is a path to enlightenment. But when we clasp on to fear, that it will directly lead us to more negative aspects. Like Yoda says, that fear, right, will lead to anger. Why? Because if you fear losing something, you get angry at anyone who you perceive may be taking that away from you. That anger will lead to hate. Because anger and hate are two different things. You know, anger is a feeling where we may not be happy with a situation, but hate is anger compounded. It's like hate is anger to the 10th power, you can say. And that hate is only going to eat up at ourselves. It's only going to cause ourselves to suffer. Because in that point, that fear of loss, we almost become like Gollum from The Hobbit and Lord of the Rings. You know, he had the ring and he always feared losing it so much. It was his precious that everybody around him, everything, every situation, he saw it as a means to separate him from his precious. His fear of loss was so strong that he feared everyone was taking it away from him. And that built into anger and built into hate and built into his own self-suffering. So in that same way is why we need to let go of a lot of things. We need to let go of this concept of fear, this concept of loss, because everything in life is impermanent. Nothing is permanent, not your relationship, not your job, not your material things, not even your life. Everything shall come to an end. And when we learn to accept that at some point in time, we are going to be separated from the things we hold dear. That is just the natural cycle of life. That's how it happens. Nothing is permanent. The more able we are to grasp and accept that idea, the better suited we are to move on with our lives when that eventually happens to us. And that's why this next snippet from Yoda deals with exactly that.
Train yourself to let go of everything you fear to lose.
Wise words there. Train yourself to let go of everything you fear to lose, right? And that's what we have to do. We have to train ourselves. We have to unlearn what we have learned. We have to see these situations and remember that, as I said before, everything is impermanent. So we have to let go of that fear of losing something, because we are going to lose it no matter what it is. There will be, and maybe there won't be. Maybe you'll never lose it. But the fact is that you have to be prepared to lose it. You have to be prepared to let it go when that time does come. And like I said, these are such profound truths that are found within this simple movie. And this is, like I said, why it just brings me so much